What's up, fam? So, want to know what it's like to manifest the exact life/moves/career/friendships you've asked for or put out to the universe that you want to create? Well, Heartlyn Rae joins In the Calm. Alexis Driscoll and Julia Fries are here to share behind the scenes all the vulnerability, all the realness of what it's like going from having a dream to creating that dream and now seeing their TikTok and social media world blow up. This hilarious duo, they're taking LA and the world by storm. And I can't wait for you to join into this hilarious episode where they spill the tea on all the red carpets, festivals, and of course we had to talk about swag bags. Let's dive in. Welcome to In the Calm. I'm your host, Georgiana Alexander. Alexis, Julia, Heartlyn Rae is in the house. Welcome to In the Calm.
Hi. We're so excited for having us.
I am so glad that you're here. It is so fun to see you guys. I feel like you're always visions in pink and blue. I wore my pink and blue today so that we could be twinsies. It has been so fun to get to know both of you and see you evolve your brand and just your joy, now that you're full-time in LA and there's so many exciting things happening. I can't wait to just dive into all the things that are going on now. I mean, I see the parties and I see TikTok. I mean, you guys are amazing and I have so many questions. I cannot wait to get into that. But will you just kind of take us through where this journey began for you as creators and influencers?
Oh my gosh. How far back do you want to go?
It's been a hot minute, right?
Short version, we go back to first grade. Yeah. So we grew up together.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Playground by myself. I used to on the swings by myself. Honestly, I found an introvert. Like the second I saw her, I'm like, you know what? She's my introvert to my extrovert. And so she's my kind of girl. And I'm like, who's this weirdo? I just want to swing by myself. Yeah. We were born and raised in Arizona. So, and then we had theater together. We just loved performing. And then we moved to Nashville to pursue music. That didn't work out.
No, but you guys have amazing voices, though. I've heard you sing and then I hear your clips singing and all of that.
Yeah. We opened up for, oh my gosh, so many cool artists. Little Big Town, Dustin Lynch, Jason LD, and we did a bunch of stuff in Arizona. And we thought like, okay, singing is the path, right? It's like, this is it. That's what we're doing. Well, and then when you're a big fish in a small pond, it's like, I'm going to go to Nashville. It'll be easy. Not that it's going to be easy, but we were like, we opened for Little Big Town. We got this.
Yeah.
Like, I think I had like $300 to my name. We drove for like old Toyota. I don't know how that car there. God bless Toyotas though, because that car made it 7 years after that. Yeah, so I just got rid of my
I saw that. It's heartbreaking to say goodbye, right? It seemed like you were very attached. I remember that you were very attached to this car.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, you know Betsy. Yeah.
I do know Betsy.
And I'm like, why is this happening? But yeah, it just kind of worked out. So yeah, so naturally worked a million trillion odd jobs while still trying to like, make our craft or like make Heartlyn Rae. We shared a bedroom. We had 2 twin mattresses on the floor. Looking back, I don't know how we did that. It worked out. I feel like you just make it happen. There's no things. You just like figure it out. And then during the pandemic is really when it like started picking up. I would bug Julia. I'm like, we have time. Let's make videos. Let's be obnoxious. And she's like, I don't know about this. I'm not into this TikTok. Resistant because we were on social media, but just here and there, just sprinkling little videos to build up a fan base for our music. So it's like, let's just sing. Can we just sing in front of the camera? I don't want to like do chitty bang and bop to the top and do these weird dance moves. I can't dance. Why are you making me dance? She'd be so pissed. Like her and I would get it. I got it. I did not. And she'd be like, this is pointless. And I like have, how sometimes you just have that feeling and I'm like, I feel like we should just stay on this because TikTok wasn't like a thing. People look down on it. Yeah, people were like, oh, you're on TikTok. Why aren't you on Instagram? Kind of thing. But I was like, I don't know. Let's just do it. And then it's so funny because on the videos, it's like I'm smiling. But like once the camera turned off, I was just like, and then we just kind of kept at it. We did drive-bys. We had to, stay distant towards people. So we had to find like the joy and make people smile while being in COVID. So we went and did drive-bys, and we call them drive-bys.
That's when we're in the car, we drive by strangers and we would sing to them and compliment them, be like, you look so beautiful. And like, that kind of was like the catalyst.
And that's when we started growing our vagines. And
yeah, that was what we were talking about before. I mean, I don't want to insult the audience here and say like, where do you guys get your balls? Because I would see you out filming. Like I would see you guys listening. I would see them and I'm just like, where did they get the balls? But really what we need to say is, where are you strength training your vajays? Because
I feel like I'm better.
I know, just to like step out there. I mean, it's so vulnerable. Showing up in visibility. We talked about your intuitive instincts. You guys are very intuitive. So I'm not surprised at all to hear you just had that gut feeling that this was the way to go. And just seeing all of the commotion that you create, but enjoy and laughter. But I would be panicked. I'd be like, oh God, I don't think I can do this, you know?
Yeah, it was a lot of commotion. And I feel like since we had each other, it made it fun. And even in our free time for our own pleasure, we like to prank call people. We like to go and no, like I don't
think I should be surprised by this. I love it, you guys.
And I like love doing like the pranks. And I grew up in a very prank
friendly environment.
Yeah, prank friendly environment. And Julia didn't. And so I brought that to her. And again, that was something she was so pissed about. Don't prank me. I hate it. Don't do it. But then she got used to it. And then she also liked the views. So we were like, let's just do it.
You guys have grown now. So from the pandemic, now you're at 7 million followers on TikTok and 130,000 on Instagram. I mean, that's incredible in such a short time.
Thanks. It's a lot of work. We would wake up in the mornings. We would like do content in the morning, then go to like nannying or the odd jobs or whatever we had to do. Then we'd come back at night, make the content, and also songwrite on top of it.
Yeah. So like it was very structured. We had to like really push each other. And that's what's great about working with your best friend is like there'd be times when I'd be like, I don't want to do this. And she's like, no, we have to keep going. And vice versa. We would encourage each other.
Even now.
And we would go on walks at night and we would just like be like, oh my gosh, people get paid to post on Instagram and YouTube. And we're like, how do we do that? We don't want to nanny anymore. Figure this out.
Yeah. That was actually one of my questions is like, where did you guys have that moment where you're like, we could really make our career out of this? Like, this is kind of the culmination of everything that we've wanted.
I think manifestation's so real. Like, even more as like things are evolving and I'm getting older. And I think her and I always would go around the apartment or around the neighborhood, like she said, and we would always put it out there. Like, wouldn't it be cool if, people liked us for us, or we got, like she said, we got paid to promote these really cool brands that we love. Like, it didn't make sense at the time because we were doing music, but then we were also saying something different. It was weird.
And I think when the first few videos really took off, I think that's where like, okay, this is working. And what's cool, and like when I say that the music didn't work out, I don't mean it in that way. I'm just saying that like our our friendship and just being our authentic selves took off more than the music did. So that's why we're kind of following that path. So people are like, are you still singing? Of course, it's a huge passion. And when the time is right, we are going to have music, but we're just following where like the universe is taking us at this moment.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Yeah. When certain doors open, it's just effortless. Even our process in moving here, it was effortless. But like when things aren't meant to be, there's going to be roadblocks. It's almost like what the answer is if you really look.
Yeah, that's what we were actually, before we jumped on camera, we were talking about that we all met in Nashville. And, I've come from LA, you guys are there now, and we would have conversations about that. And even though I love being in Nashville and you guys loved it, I do have a sense of like, this is a temporary space for me. It's like, I feel like there's a purpose and a timing in my being here. And we were sharing that really Nashville was a quiet, easy place for you. Maybe the music didn't take off for you because it wasn't in alignment for you there, but it gave you the foundation to really take that time and hone in on what it is you love doing and finding a way to really let that be your career. And it has skyrocketed. I mean, I've seen you guys just evolve and grow and pivot. And now at all of the red carpet events and all the amazing, doesn't LA have the best swag bags ever, you guys?
gosh. And the gifting suites, I didn't know that was even a thing.
I was like, what's a gifting suite?
Oh my God.
Like,
the minds are just
this life. I love this life. But you were thankful. But it's funny because like you saw us in Nashville, like you saw all the work that went into it. You probably saw us in the parking lot.
No, I saw you. I would drive around town running errands. And I'd be like, oh, there's Alexis and Julia. And I would see you guys like filming.
Yeah. Like what? It was like every day filming with our tripod in the middle of the street. People are probably like, well, these girls are crazy. And it's their process.
In terms of like pivoting from really the LA market into, you guys went into a content creation house and then started making more and more friends. How did that journey start to feel for you? I mean, you're like starting to see the things that you would talk about on those walks and dream of come together, come into manifestation.
I feel like we always, sometimes like on our drive homes, we're like, did that really just happen? Mm-hmm. Like that, like an aha moment kind of thing. Mm-hmm. We do that a lot, actually.
Yeah, I feel like. And it's interesting because we lived in Nashville for 7 years, and it was like really hard to make friends. Like we would try, and it was really discouraging because we would try, and people would hang out this one time, they didn't want to hang out with us again. So like, are we we couldn't? And then like, kind of as we say that the whole like knocking on doors that aren't met. You know, we built a few great relationships like yourself and a few others, but besides that, it was really hard to make friends. We moved here. And it was like, come to me. All these people were so nice. And also we have so many friends, but we have so many friends from like different groups. And
it's very like, I like how it's so community out here. So like in Nashville, I don't know, it just, maybe it's different for you, but for us, it was so hard to get into any kind of community. Mm-hmm. It just did not.
We had to sneak into events too. We had to like,
oh no, what events were you sneaking into? I didn't know about this. I want to hear the gossip.
Well, we had to like sneak in, and it's just interesting because you would think, my thought, moving to LA, it's going to be brutal. People are going to be so mean and judgmental, but like we get invited to things, and that I think that's like to show our hard work. Like, you know, we do deserve it. We worked hard for it, but it's just interesting. Like we have all these friends, we're getting into events, and going back to the manifestation thing, I used to like picture myself on red carpets as a kid. And I just like picture that so hard. I was like, I don't know what it is, but I just want to be on a red carpet. And now we're doing it. And it just like gives me the chills to talk about. So there's times, like she said, we'll just be like, is this really our life?
Well, what's crazy to me is like when we moved to LA, both of our parents pulled out like old drawings and pictures that we had drawn or printed out of LA.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Oh, I have chills, you guys. I have chills.
When we were kids, it was California, not Nashville. But at the time, country music, like, okay, Nashville's the place. There was like, I was at my mom's house and there was a coffee mug, like a touristy coffee mug with my name on it and it had the Hollywood sign. And then there was a magnet with my name on it and it had the Hollywood sign. And then I drew like a thing with Hollywood. So I feel like from a young age, we were already like California.
Yeah, probably 2 weeks after, it was on my Facebook. You know how like you post and then things will come up as a memory? The memory was like a memory from, oh my gosh, like forever ago. And it popped up and it was like, I want this view one day. And it was the view of LA. And I don't know where it came from or why, but anyways, that's why I'm like, manifestation
everything
for all your listeners.
Even down to finding our place to live, because finding a place in LA is not easy. We had 3 days to find a place. The way that went down was even like unreal. So it's just crazy how
Julia cried the first day she got.
I had a meltdown
like LA. Let's all be honest. She's over here like, I didn't like it. She hated it. And every time people think, how are you liking LA? She's like, I don't like it.
It took me 6 months to warm up to it. But, you know, because, you know, coming from Nashville, Scottsdale, it's definitely like overwhelming. But once you kind of immerse yourself, it's like, all right, you kind of embrace the bad parts of it too.
You kind of have to find your own little rhythm and neighborhood. And then it actually feels so small, you know, even though when you first step into that, it is overwhelmed. But this story is so cool because really, I think it speaks to when you're in alignment with what's working for you, everything does just feel aligned and right. The right people start showing up. You have friends that can see you and value you. It's amazing. I think it was such a meant to be moment that we all met and connected. I mean, actually, it was my mom that's like, you need to meet, you know, that kind of thing. But I mean, you guys, you're just so full of life and light. And I can totally understand the disconnect of the culture here because of what you're wanting and where you were and like where you are now suits your souls. And that really is nothing to say about Nashville, but there's not the space for who you are that you're getting to see emerge in this homeland, in your homeland that you've been manifesting since you guys were kids. So you're really emerging into who you've always been. And we just get to watch and see that. I think it's so magical and cool.
Thank you. Another thing I like about here is you can be whoever you want to be too. I feel like, I don't know. It's just, you can be who you want to be. You can wear what you want. And I feel like in Nashville, I love Nashville. I don't want people to think we're bashing Nashville, but I feel like we weren't as accepted with the TikTok stuff because a lot of like the musicians too, they're a little bit more old school in their thinking. And it would be like, oh, you're making TikToks. Okay, fast forward, TikTok blew up. Hey, can you help me with my TikTok? How do I?
Now everybody's coming out of the woodworks to ask for help.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not uncommon. And, you know, I think for everyone listening that obviously it doesn't feel right to move to LA, that they don't have that experience. I mean, this can be for everything, you know, wherever you are. I talked to a woman once who her homeland was Hawaii. Like that was her soul place. And she was in New York and it was cold and it was rainy. And I think that there's an element that we can bring the things that we love about environment. Like you say, you can be anything you want. And I know that. I feel myself and my soul's freedom take flight when I'm in LA because the environment is right for me in a lot of ways. We can carry that with us wherever we are and really grow that and expand it and use that to attract friendships. I mean, that's how our paths crossed.
I think the timing is everything too, because I feel like if we moved here a few years ago,
oh my God,
been a disaster. If I moved here like 5 years ago, I was in a different place. I probably would have made some really bad choices.
We'd be in
I feel like it's true. No, not really. Like, and it's easy anywhere you go. It's easy to get caught up, right?
Yeah.
So I think
we're just different humans. Like Julia, she doesn't drink anymore, you know, and I still do. So I still get wild, but you know, it's nice that like we have that balance now.
Yeah.
Two of us here, pocket is lost. I don't know.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, okay, the timing, like at this time, it just worked. And like for you, it's just a timing thing.
It's timing. There's different phases. Like we really think of our lives in terms of, you know, oh, this is everything in this moment. But the beauty of the longevity of our lives, I mean, it goes by really fast, but we have all these different phases and chapters. And so it's really cool looking back and saying, oh, you know, with the chapter that each of us are in, you'll look back and say, oh, that really helped build the foundation for this next step. Kind of like your time here in Nashville, like my time in Nashville. It's like there's foundations being built. There's reasons that you're standing in the place that you're in and now having these experiences you've worked so hard for. I would love to pivot and talk a little bit about the vulnerability, invisibility, because I think this is something for everyone listening, whether they're in business, whether they are wanting to be influencers, whether they just are trying to show up more in their lives and be visible. You guys have such a rhythm and a routine for this, but I know it has to come with so much vulnerability as well, as you've mentioned. But what has that side looked like for you all, like growing that? I know you kind of touched in earlier with Julia was like not down for it, but what were the challenges that you had to overcome in being safe in visibility? Or maybe that you're still working through?
Put yourself out there. You're bound to get judgment and hate, and people have opinions. I think that's been from the beginning hard because I mean, gosh, people will write the nastiest things, but you still have to like wake up and be like, okay, no, I'm going to still show myself and be vulnerable, even though those people are so mean and don't like that part of me or don't like the way I look or whatever else. It takes a lot of not courage. What's the word? Like a lot of
vagina strength.
Vajay strength training. Yeah.
Easy to just be like, I'm going to stop this because everyone hates this, or I'm going to stop this because I'm getting so much hate about this and that. But you have to just, I don't know, look inside and be freaking vulnerable, which I hate, but I do.
Yeah. I think for me, starting the podcast, because that's like a whole other side that we're showing.
Yeah. I want to talk about that too, because it's a different type of vulnerability, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the TikTok, it's a little easier because I think in our natural nature is very silly and kiddish. Mm-hmm. So it was a little easier. And I think for us, it's like, yeah, people are going to think we're cringe, whatever. But for me, the podcast,
I agree with
I'm like opening up about like my sex life And like the podcast is for us to connect more, because like the TikTok's great, but we want people to know like about us and to really talk about things that like we all can relate with. And I think for me, like my family, like my mom watches my clips and stuff. So I'm like, oh, it's like weird. And like the dad of the kids I used to nanny for, like followed the podcast page. I'm over here talking about like losing my virginity. And like, it is what it is. You know, so I had to overcome just, we all do it. We all experience these things. Yeah. I think people gravitate more when you're just real and not so like everything's perfect. I went on a date, I had the best sex. It's like, okay, let's like talk about what really happened.
And we're finding more and more that so many people relate. Like it's so vulnerable where I'm like embarrassed. But I'm like, you know what? Someone else can relate. And we get messages all the time. Like, I totally agree with this. I'm shocked that like you said this, like, thank you for saying that. I'm like, okay, then it's like meant to be, because we have, before the podcast, even before we film, we always have to say like, is this real? Especially for the podcast, like she said, we have to like go with what's true to us, because people can see like through the bullshit, you know? When we film, it's a little bit more like we can kind of bullshit our way with it. But I feel like the podcast, it's like very raw.
And it's so new for us. It's always been singing in front of an audience. And then TikTok, which still kind of it was ourselves, but kind of just like, we're being silly. And you still kind of have that wall. But the podcast, it's like vulnerability, it's like the nitty gritty. And I feel like before we record, sometimes we have to be like, do we want to talk about this? Yes. You know, we kind of push each other and encourage each other, because it is what it is. You know, we're already putting it all out there. Let's just put the rest out there. So.
Yeah. But for anyone that wants to like get into, like you said, any of this kind of stuff where you're out there and being vulnerable, it is hard. Like people say all the time, like, oh, you get over it. Like,
don't care what people think.
Right. Like, but at the end of the day, it still hurts. You know, you still see it and you still think about it and you're still like, oh shit. But I think what's really helped both of us is like knowing our circle of people, like our real people, not these minions behind the computer, like leaving comments or whatever else. So don't be discouraged to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know,
and don't read the comments if it bothers you. Just don't read them. You know, that's probably no matter what. You can be Taylor Swift and there's gonna be hate comments. It doesn't matter.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, such good insight too. And you guys are right. I mean, I talk to so many people that maybe they're in the influencer space, or maybe they're entrepreneurs, maybe they're moms, like whatever it is, most of us yearn to be more visible in our true selves. Like we're feeling called to really open that up and find out what that looks like, especially because societally speaking, we've been in a place where that really wasn't the norm, that, you know, you could have the presentation and put that out there, just as you're talking, like the singing and the kind of putting on the act, so to speak, that feels safer and it's easier to show up in that, but it hurts your soul when there's more that you want to say, there's more that you want to be, and then you're not giving yourself any place to show up that way. So I think that's so valuable for everyone listening to be able to take away and say, whatever it is that you step out into, it's going to feel painful, scary. You know, you're going to freak out. I mean, I remember even I did one solo episode last time because I was literally having a panic attack about it. It was so hard. And I have done singing and I've done public speaking and all of these things. But you're right. It is bearing your soul. But when you really take away that it's about you, I think, and it's about, like, as you said, connecting to the people that really get you, the ones that are actually showing up and listening, because it is a heart and soul connect. That's where it really kind of moves all that away. I love that you guys said that so much.
Yeah, it's hard. Get a therapist. That's what I do.
I feel like we were like craving that actual like being ourselves connection, because somebody said, "Oh, that was a ballsy move. You guys went from having like a young audience and now you're talking about sex on this podcast." But I feel like we just like you said, it was like we were like yearning for that to like
it was like those were our conversations every night. We'd come home and literally have those conversations that we're having, and we're like, this feels more real to us and where we're at.
Yeah. And so, you know, it might put some people off, or we might, it's just who we are and what we really want to like pivot to. And as we get older too, and our audience gets older. So yeah, it's just being, you know, I'm real to yourself, and true to yourself.
I think that's well said. Being real to yourself. It's interesting for anybody that's out there trolling and saying that your audience is too young to talk about sex. I mean, I don't know what kids they're talking about, because I'm mind blown how young kids are, seeking it. Like, they want to hear information and understand things and get points of view, but they are taking in content from TikTok and YouTube and places like that. So I disagree with whoever was trolling you guys.
Yeah, because some people don't have their parents explaining sex or what the deal is or how it works. So I guess.
Yeah, or talking about the good or the bad of it, right? Like, they're not sharing about how this is an empowerment. This is like talking about sex and owning your sexuality is a part of growth and empowerment. And for so many people, like, if they don't have the surroundings that are going to be accepting of that, like, they're going to look elsewhere. So it's good that they have Julia and Alexis. I mean, they get it real. Let's just say that. They get it for real. You guys are not going to hold back on what your thoughts or experiences are.
We just interviewed a sex therapist. So,
amazing. Yeah, I'm interested in hearing that. Like, I love all the different perspectives of where people go with sexuality. I'm actually going to be on a podcast coming up called Sexual Alchemy, and it's about infusing spirituality into your sexual
on our podcast.
Oh, yeah, I'm down. It'll be so fun.
Collabing.
I love it. So with all of the different pivots that you've had with moving to LA and the changes, all the good, all the, adjustments and things like that. I mean, you guys had like rain for 6 months. I mean, I'm kidding. It's not 6 months, but it felt like all of a sudden you're in the middle of this rainstorm that never ends. So there's a lot of changes, but navigating now with different partnerships and things like that. I mean, you guys went from being in the mindset of like, oh, this is new and exciting, to now this is a business. And now you're working with an agency. How does that mindset shift for you in working with people in a way that's more serious, that's more structured, things like that?
Sure. It's so funny you say that. We literally said this yesterday. We're like, it's now business. It's no longer like, oh, I mean, we still have to like work and, make everything happen because we want to sustain it, obviously. But we were like, oh my God, like, we kind of made this into a thing, I guess.
Yeah, it's so fun. But at first it was like, this is fun. Let's get on here and whatever. But when it's a business, it's like, okay, it's fun. But behind the scenes, there's a lot of other things that go on that aren't so fun that have to,
Yeah.
And also her and I have to work on our relationship together too. That's a thing that people don't talk about. It's like,
yeah, tell us about that a little bit, because you are so close. And
right, we're so close, but yet we're so different. And I think that's kind of what makes it work though. And we have to, I don't know, how do you explain it? Like, our friendship, we definitely have to like baby and make sure like we're good. We're checking in on each other, like outside of the business.
We live together and we have a business together. We're basically together all the time.
We have the same friends. We hang out. I mean,
yeah. So it's like finding that balance too. Cause it's like, you don't want to be too codependent either, but, and we work well together, but of course we have our moments, so I feel like it's like putting the egos aside, and like, there's things like that she likes that I don't like, and vice versa. So it's about just like fairly talking about things. And we've definitely butted heads
for sure.
Yeah, it hasn't been all.
It started with the original TikTok, right? Like, comedy over singing. Like, that was like, I had to work it through.
Yeah. We're both so focused on the bigger picture. It's like we both like, we're different, but one thing we like can relate on is like we have the same dream. We want the same thing. So that's kind of like what's kept us, I think.
Yeah. And I think we really do like hanging out with each other, so like, we do the weird shit when we're not filming. We still do stuff that makes us laugh.
The other day, we're prank calling people.
Right. And it's like, I hate saying that, because it's like,
I don't. Who cares?
No, I don't
have little things in life.
Are we 12? But like, for some reason, we connect on like a weird level, which is so bizarre because we're so opposite.
We're opposite. There's like a few things we are similar on, which is like, so it's very weird, and it's, it's hard to find.
And back to your question, I don't know where the hell.
Yeah, I'm like, talking about business.
Business. And it's interesting having to put your like business cap on, because before we had the agency, we had to negotiate our deals. So like,
I was going to ask you because I feel like people see, oh, you're young at this, or, oh, this is, a TikTok. There are a lot of people out there in any types of business that try to take advantage of situations. And you have to really navigate that. I mean, how has that felt for you guys?
Hard to be like, to negotiate. I feel like we've had to learn to be like, no, like this is our values.
Learning to say no, or like, this is what we want. Because in the beginning, at least for me, it was such new territory. Nobody knew what they were doing. So like, if they were asking like for rates and we're like, oh, are we like worth it? And then we're like, we have friends with like Flex followers charging this much. And it's like, I think at least for me, I had to learn my worth and be like, this is what we want. This is what we deserve. And I think that's like helped at least me grow, with
What was that mindset like for you as you were learning your self-worth? Because that's something we all struggle with at each new chapter, at each new up level, right? Like you have to reevaluate and take on a different mindset of feeling worthy of that next shift.
I feel like as women too, it's like, it's kind of, I don't know what it is, but it's a little harder to like, at least for me, maybe it's a mindset thing, but money was always like a weird, even like when I would work these jobs being like, hey, when am I getting, can I get my check, or how much am I getting? It was always like weird, but I was like, now I'm like, no, this is what I'm worth. This is a service I'm providing. Like, I don't know, a doctor wouldn't show up to work with, I'm not saying that's a bad example.
You get half the scalpel if you, for this trader.
Power, like it's like, why am I showing up to a job and not, I don't know, it's just like a worth thing that I really had to like work on and like to know like how to negotiate and how to like be confident in it. So.
I feel like I'm relearning myself. I thought I knew myself, but it's like weird how you change and things shift and your values and how you look at things. And I feel like now I'm kind of going through this whole thing where I'm like, I'm kind of like I don't know, it's weird. Like I thought I knew myself. This is who I am. And then now I feel like I'm going through a whole other shift. It's very interesting.
And you guys are close to Saturn return, aren't you? I mean, you're still a little ways away from your Saturn return. Turning 30.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're 20.
I'm like, what's Saturn return?
So the Saturn return is like an astrological event that it happens usually around age 30. So sometimes you start to feel it before. Yeah. And so it's like each, as you go through these major shifts astrologically or in age, you do change who you are very deeply, and the world is changing as well very quickly. So I'm not surprised to hear that. I mean, you guys have made such big leaps, especially to hear that you really got started in the pandemic in 2020. I mean, that's a really short window to be excelling so quickly and having all of these different opportunities happen so quickly.
Yeah. Very, very fortunate.
It's been short, but at the same time, we've been like doing this since we've been so in the entertainment
since our kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Stuff. So it's like,
because people like probably think, oh, they just like, they're on the internet and they just blew up by being silly. But like you said, it was like we both as kids separately, we're doing singing lessons, dance lessons, acting lessons from age like 5.
And we didn't go to college. So we've always just had like, here's plan A, plan B, just we don't see them.
Yeah, it was never subtle.
we don't. Yeah. I mean, obviously you can always go back 100%. Not saying no one can, but I think for us, I was never a bookie.
Mm-hmm.
No, I hated school.
Well, the world was your university, right? Like you guys wanted to just step out there and really put into action everything that you'd been working on.
Yeah, and I feel like Nashville was like taught us how to be adults, because that's when we like left our parents' house. And that's when we got jobs. That's when we like lived with crazy roommates and like the things we think about, like laundry detergent and toilet paper. It's just there, right? It's not just there when you're living on your own. So like navigate those things and paying. How do I set up like electric, or how do I like sign a lease? I just think
and like also that. Saving and like learning, just money too. That's a whole other thing. But yeah, if you're just thrown into the pack of wolves, which doesn't even make sense, but you know what I'm saying? It's like you figure it out.
Yeah. Figured it out.
I mean, you've obviously learned how to buy laundry detergent and set things up, and now you're navigating major contracts and collaborations and things like that. I'm really excited for you.
We still are like trying to get, more and where we want to be, but
we're still evolving.
Yeah, we're still growing and evolving.
I think
as women.
Yeah. And we should be, you know, I think if we were too comfortable, who knows? That's my thing. It's like, I want to always be like, oh, there's more.
Grow and change, right? Like that's the journey of life. It makes it really fun. So I really want to ask you too, like, let's kind of talk about your favorite parties and events. Let's just do a quick rundown of like, if you'll recap like your fun moments of things that you've done recently. There was Coachella. You've been on some movie premieres and red carpets. Like, were there any behind the scenes? I mean, getting ready in the bathroom at Coachella was hilarious.
Oh, I have one.
Oh, yeah.
I did so there was a really big party that this big company put on, and it was kind of our first party in LA, and it was insane. Like, they rented out a mansion here in Beverly Hills. It was a whole thing, and I'm seeing like people just make out and like going crazy and like doing all the drinking and the drug, like all the stuff you see in the movies. And I was like, oh my God, is this LA? Like, I'm scared. So that was a holy shit moment. Like, what they write in the movies is real for some of these parties. I'm sure being in LA, you've seen it.
I don't even know if we have the mind space to get into the parties I've gone to in LA.
Oh, I remember you
swinging from the ceiling. Yeah, there were definitely some wild experiences, and I wouldn't change any of it.
I loved going to the Netflix premiere of Your Place or Mine, and it was like what you picture when you picture red carpet, and it was incredible. And the fact that like we were invited, and then there was like fans on the side asking for our pictures, and like
that was really cool.
Having the red carpet moment, and then seeing Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis walk right by us at the after party. One of these after parties with these celebrities that I've only seen in movies as a kid. It's just like such a surreal moment when you're like so close to it. It's like, I don't know. It's something I always, like I said, manifested. Like, I'm here, I'm partying with freaking Ashton Kutcher. I'm trying to think of other. There's so many.
Oh my God, this is so hard because there's been so many.
I think just seeing like
food is incredible.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
There, you would be so happy.
Yeah. But I think being like these like celebs, we just went to one and met Kevin Hart, which was so cool. And it's just being so close to it.
And they're so normal. Like, it's so crazy. Like, wait.
Yeah. I feel like childhood me would be
the
like,
same way I do. Like, it's very, yeah, it's bizarre. But yeah, we've done
going to these mansions in the hills. It's like also like you see in the movies. It's just, I don't know. I thought it was only in movies, but I moved here and it really happens.
It is so fun. All the fun house parties and events and red carpet
party experiences. I feel like you've had crazier party experiences than we have. Like, I don't know.
You guys just got there. I lived there a long time, and I worked in entertainment too. So I definitely had some crazy experiences. And it was also in a time when social media wasn't really a thing. So I feel like it was even wilder because, you know, the paparazzi were outside. There weren't as many leaked photos. There was a lot of times like that you could get away with so much. I mean, it was just really wild because there wasn't documentation of what was happening on the inside of the parties.
Crazy. Yeah, there are a few places and a few parties we've been to where like you cannot have your cell phone.
I mean, I appreciate that.
I do, but I don't. I'm like, can I film this content? Like, what?
But yeah, like I said, I'm glad I moved to LA now when I'm like, you know, there's alcohol at these parties. I'm like, whatever. But I feel like if I would have gone to these parties a few years ago, I probably would have made a fool of myself.
I do make a fool of myself. So here we are.
You know, nothing wrong with it. But like for me, I'm like, I keep it professional because a lot of these parties like professional networking. So I'm like, okay, probably best if I just, you know, keep it.
That's why it's good that there's two of us because we can balance each other out.
I think you guys are the perfect balance of each other's personality. And it does make sense to me why you are such good friends because you're the yin and the yang of one another, you know, and you just walk through the world taking it on, looking adorable, mostly in pinks and blues. And I love it so much. Like all of your outfits, I'm like, oh, you guys look so good. I love it.
Yeah,
it's so much fun.
You know, we always try to match because we just like matching. Sometimes we just walk out and we literally
without even planning it. It's like, weird. All right.
Yeah, it's like
when you like live with somebody and you're so close, you kind of just start to, it's weird.
Become one another.
I'm like, oh yeah. have our own lives for a second.
You can plan out some friendship breaks. Like, I'm going to walk down the street for 5 minutes.
Yeah. It's important, to just have like a second, we'll go back home or we'll like go visit friends or we'll have that time.
Like we're going out of town next week. We'll be away from each other. But even then we're still like texting and like, hey,
I love that though for you guys. And it's so nice to have somebody that's really got your back in everything that you're doing, because it can be very uprooting, when you're in new environments and you're really growing fast and in exciting adventures. But then also, again, as we were talking about that vulnerability, invisibility, like the fact that you guys have each other and can balance that for one another is really cool. It's really, really cool. This has been so fun. And there's so many other things I could ask you and talk about, and we'll get there another time. But I really want to hear any favorite wellness routines, any favorite rituals that you guys do.
Ooh, I love all the wellness stuff. I just did a sound bath the other day.
Yeah. Where did you guys go?
Oh my gosh. What's it called?
Somewhere in Brentwood, right?
Somewhere in Brentwood. I don't remember the name, but I got free passes. So I was like, let's go. And I went on a date and he started snoring and sleeping through the sound. Totally zenned out, and it was great. I have an aloe vera plant outside my door, and I'll cut it open. I'll put it on my face. I love the aloe vera on my face. I put olive oil on my face because Mediterranean women, that's what they do. They drink olive oil and their skin looks incredible. I know I'm weird.
No, that's not weird at all here. That's actually super, super on brand.
Yeah. I don't know. This is like my self-care, right? I even I'll take like cucumber skin. Like when you cut the cucumber, you get the skin. That's like good for your face. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
I love that. So you're just like incorporating throughout the day, like whatever. I feel like it's so much easier when you're in sunshine. You guys are at the beach or just taking in.
I was just going to say, for me, it's like more of the beach, the water, like my anxiety, like everything just calms down when I'm near the beach. We've been so busy and I haven't been able to like go and do that. And I forget that we live so close to the beach. So the other day I was like, I'm going to go to the beach and just like relax. I went to Malibu, and honestly, I could say best. One of my favorite moments being here. I don't know. It was like I was by myself. I was doing my own like journaling, just manifested, just all that stuff. And like with the water, I don't know. So that's kind of my thing. And I want to do more of it. I was like, couldn't believe how much it like helped. So I was like, okay.
I'm not a big beach person, but I'll go out and sit in the sun. And like, if I'm like not feeling well, like I literally just like sit in the sun. And I like love the vitamin D. Like for me, it just feels really good. I love it. And it's like it gives me life. I love it.
Self-care.
I know. I'm like, I can go on and on. I love self-care. I think food can be self-care.
I love it.
I think, there's anything can be self-care. I mean,
great.
Yeah, it's how you choose to incorporate it. Sometimes we need these thin moments of going to the beach, or we need to meditate or do our facials. And then other times self-care is spending an evening with our friends or eating a really good meal or watching our favorite shows. It's all in how we interpret it and just using our everyday lives to really allow even the most mundane things that we do, like shopping or, whatever, like grocery shopping, not like shopping. That's not ever mundane, but to use those as self-care tools to give them permission to be self-care. So I love your self-care options. I think those are beautiful. I feel like I need to go to the beach now. Like you're talking and I can just feel you're telling me about Malibu and I'm like, yes, I remember the sound of the waves. I need to be out there. I need to come see you guys.
Anytime.
Yes. You guys, thank you so much. As we talked about before, like this was such a great reason to get together and hang out and talk, but it's just always so fun to connect and see you. And I'm just so excited for you. I just see your whole lives lighting up and it just makes my heart so, so happy for you.
You, boss lady. We're so excited.
Thank you.
Podcast.
Thanks for having
all the cool things you're doing. Thank you for having us. It was so good to hang out with you.
I know. I'm giving you the biggest hug, and everyone listening, I'm going to connect you to all the amazing ways to check out Excuse My Friend, the really amazing, hilarious, and insightful podcast from Alexis and Julia. And also you got to check out their TikTok and Instagram because you will die. Like you'll be in both laughter, tears, and a state of panic. I'm like, oh God, what's happening next in this video? And it's amazing. You guys are like the perfect mix of all of the things. Everyone listening, go check them out. So good to see you. Send you big kisses.